How does quantum locking work, and is it a form of anti-gravity? Let's see it work. We're crazy to see it work. It's not anti-gravity. It has to do with magnetic fields and superconductors. So most things, when you run a current through them, heat up. I mean, that's the entire... Well, monkey can't. There we go. It's the entire reason like induction burners and work is that you run a current through it and it heats up from the resistance, and you lose energy essentially in the impedance as the electricity tries to pass through. And as you run electricity through things, you create a magnetic field. So always perpendicular to your electric field is your magnetic field whenever you have a moving current or moving charge. A superconductor is a very weird state. When you supercool something, get it cold enough, you run a current through it, you do not lose energy to impedance. It just flows right through. Super easy. Now, you can take certain objects and you can coat it with a superconductor and chill it down like a really thin film of a superconductor. And it does this weird thing where if you have a thick superconductor, the magnetic field won't penetrate. But if you have a really thin one that has some imperfections in it, little bands of magnetic field can connect through. And sort of they call it flux pinning is the term for it. And what ends up happening is, if I were to like draw it, let's see here if we can we got the paint, sweet. So, bam, brush, brushes, big brush people can see. So let's say you have a real thin wafer thin thing, a real thin wafer here. That's supposed to be flat, but it's not flat. And normally, if you got a thick superconductor, the magnetic fields all have to like bend around it because they can't penetrate. So it kind of makes these weird lines as the magnetic field bends around it, right? But if you have a thin coating of superconductor, when it's super cooled, every once in a while, these weird little guys will pass through it. Maybe just one or two, but for the most part, majority of them going around and kind of looks like an onion now. But as a result of these couple of bands of magnetic field that can pass through the wafer, it kind of locks it in place. So if you ever want to see cool videos, look at the quantum locking flux pinning videos on YouTube. And that's just a weird thing. You can also take superconductors, you can throw them in magnetic fields and they'll float because they're rejecting the magnetic field in all directions. So they'll kind of just aimlessly float around. But the quantum locking ones are super weird because they will just stay in a superposition and just not move wherever you put it. And that's the best way I can explain it in layman's terms. I don't know how else to explain that. I hope that works.